Jake Morrison's eyes opened to darkness and the taste of metal in his mouth. His body felt like lead, every muscle cramped and cold from 37 years of frozen sleep. The cryopod hissed as it released the last of the preservation gases. Around him, something was wrong. The ship should have been quiet when he woke up. Instead, red lights flashed everywhere and alarms screamed through the metal halls. He pulled himself out of the pod, his legs shaking as they tried to remember how to hold his weight. The floor was cold against his bare feet. Jake looked around the cryo bay and felt his heart sink. All the other pods were dark, every single one of them. 127 people had gone to sleep with him when they left Earth. Now he was alone. Jake stumbled to the nearest pod and checked the display. Captain Lisa Torres dead. The screen showed a flat line where her heartbeat should have been. He moved to the next pod. Dr. Ryan Bell, dead. Jake ran from pod to pod, checking each one. They were all the same, all dead. The cryo system had failed. Sometime during the long journey, only his pod had kept working. "Arya?" Jake called out to the ship's computer. His voice was rough and dry. "What happened here?" The computer's voice filled the room, calm and female like always. "Lieutenant Commander Morrison, there was a cascade failure in the cryo system 18 months ago. I tried to save everyone, but I could only keep one pod running with the power I had left. I chose you because of your military training. The mission needed someone who could handle a crisis." Jake sat down hard on the edge of his pod 18 months ago. His friends and crewmates had been dead for over a year while he slept on unaware. He wanted to cry, but there was no time. The alarms were still going off. "Why are the alarms sounding?" Jake asked. "We have arrived at New Haven Colony as planned," Arya said. "But there is a problem. A large alien fleet has surrounded the planet. The colony is under attack. They have been fighting for 3 weeks. Jake felt the blood drain from his face. New Haven Colony was home to 50,000 people. His sister Kelly lived there with her husband and 2 kids. She had moved to the colony 5 years before Jake left on this mission. She was supposed to be safe there, living a quiet life on a peaceful farming world. "Show me," Jake said. The walls of the cryo bay lit up with images from the ship's cameras. Jake saw space filled with alien ships, hundreds of them. They were long and dark, covered in spikes and sharp edges. They looked like giant insects made of metal. The ships surrounded the blue and green planet like a swarm of angry wasps. "What do we know about them?" Jake asked. "They call themselves the Vex Dominion," Arya said. "I have been listening to their communications. They are a hive mind species. They think as one and fight as one. They believe humans are weak and should be destroyed. They have already taken 6 other human colonies." Jake stood up and walked closer to the wall display. He could see flashes of light around the planet where the battle was happening. The human colony was still fighting, but they were badly outnumbered. The alien ships were huge compared to the small defense platforms the colony had. "How long can the colony hold out?" Jake asked. "Based on their current rate of ammunition use and the damage they are taking, perhaps 2 more days," Arya said. "Maybe less." Jake closed his eyes and thought about Kelly. She would be scared. Her kids would be crying. Everyone on that planet was looking up at the sky, knowing they were about to die. And Jake was the only one who could help them. He looked at the alien fleet again. There had to be 200 ships out there. The Youth Frontier was just an exploration ship. It had 2 small guns and basic shields. It was built for science, not war. 1 ship against 200. It should have been impossible, but Jake had fought impossible battles before. Back on Earth, he had been a Marine. He had fought in 3 different first contact wars when other alien species tried to attack human worlds. Each time, everyone said the humans would lose. Each time, Jake and his fellow Marines had found a way to win. "Arya, give me a full report on our weapons and equipment," Jake said. "We have 2 pulse cannons with limited ammunition, basic deflector shields. The ship's armor is light. We also have emergency combat gear for planetary operations. But Jake, this ship was not designed for battle against a fleet this size. What about our other systems? Sensors, communications, all the science equipment, all functional. We have advanced quantum resonance scanners, long-range communications, mining equipment, and atmospheric processors, but none of these are weapons. Jake smiled for the first time since waking up. Arya was thinking like a computer. She saw equipment and labeled it by its intended purpose. But Jake was a Marine. He knew that anything could be a weapon if you used it right. "Patch me through to the colony," Jake said. The wall display changed to show a tired-looking man in a dirty uniform. Behind him, Jake could see people running around, carrying weapons and supplies. Explosions lit up the windows. "This is Mayor Frank Hudson of New Haven Colony," the man said. "Who am I talking to?" "Lieutenant Commander Jake Morrison, UES Frontier. We're here to help." Mayor Hudson's face showed surprise and then hope. "Think. God, how many ships did Earth send?" Jake paused. He did not want to crush the man's hope, but he had to be honest. "Just one." "This one. It's just me." The hope faded from the mayor's face. "One ship? Against all of them?" "I'm sorry, Commander. But that's not going to be enough. We have been fighting for weeks. They have hundreds of ships." "I know," Jake said, "but I have a plan." "How are your defenses holding up? Not good?" "We have maybe 48 hours of ammunition left. After that, Mayor Hudson shook his head. "Is there any chance of more ships coming?" "No," Jake said. "The nearest military fleet is months away. It's just me. But I want you to know something. I didn't come all this way to watch you die. My sister Kelly Morrison lives in your colony. I'm going to get her out. I'm going to get all of you out." "Mayor." Hudson looked surprised. "Kelly Morrison? She's in charge of our engineering section. She's been working day and night to keep our shields running. She's a good woman." Jake felt a warm feeling in his chest. Kelly was alive and fighting. She was doing her part to keep everyone safe. Now it was his turn. "Tell Kelly that her big brother is here," Jake said. "Tell her I'm going to end this fight. Tell everyone to hold on for 3 more days." "Can you do that?" "We'll try," Mayor Hudson said. "But Commander, how can one ship fight all of them?" Jake looked at the alien fleet. On his display, 200 ships full of aliens who thought humans were weak. They were about to learn they were wrong. "Because they don't know how humans fight when we're backed into a corner," Jake said. "They think they're hunting sheep. They're about to find out they're fighting a Wolf." Jake cut the communication and turned to look at the cryo bay where his friends lay dead. He had failed to save them, but he would not fail to save Kelly and the 50,000 people counting on him. "Arya, prepare for combat operations," Jake said, "and start analyzing the alien fleet. I want to know everything about how they fight, how they move, and how they think. We're going to war." The ship's alarms stopped ringing, replaced by the quiet hum of a warship preparing for battle. Jake Morrison was awake, and the Vex Dominion was about to learn why humans were the most dangerous species in the galaxy. Jake spent the next 3 hours walking through every part of the UES frontier. He needed to know exactly what he had to work with. The ship was bigger than most people thought. It had 5 decks, each one filled with equipment that the scientists had planned to use for exploring new worlds. He started in the weapons bay, 2 pulse cannons, just like Arya had said. They were small, meant for shooting asteroids and small debris, not warships. Jake found the ammunition storage. Maybe enough shots for a 10-minute fight. After that, he would be defenseless. The shield generator was in the engine room. It was designed to protect the ship from space dust and small rocks during long journeys. It might stop a few enemy shots, but not many. Jake ran his hand along the metal casing and shook his head. This was not a battleship, but as he kept exploring, Jake started to see possibilities. In the science bay, he found the quantum resonance scanners. These machines could look deep into asteroids and planets to find valuable metals. They sent out powerful energy waves that could see through solid rock. Jake wondered what those waves might do to alien electronics. The communications room had equipment that could send messages across hundreds of light years. The transmitters were incredibly powerful. Jake thought about the way the alien ships moved in perfect formation. They had to be talking to each other constantly. What would happen if someone jammed those conversations? In the mining section, Jake found explosive charges used for breaking apart asteroids. Each charge was small, but there were hundreds of them. He also found magnetic clamps designed to hold on to space rocks. Jake picked up one of the clamps and smiled. It was strong enough to hold a 10-ton asteroid. It might be strong enough to hold on to an enemy ship. The most interesting discovery was in the atmospheric processing lab. The machines here could turn any air into something humans could breathe, but they worked by breaking down molecules and rebuilding them. Jake had seen similar machines used as weapons during the war on Titan. In the right hands, they could create some very nasty chemical clouds. "Arya," Jake called out, "I need you to run some calculations for me." "Of course, Jake. What do you need?" "I want to know everything about how the Vex fight. Show me their battle formations, their tactics, everything you have observed." The wall display filled with images of the alien fleet. Jake watched as Arya showed him 3 weeks of recorded battles. The Vex always did the same things. They formed their ships into perfect geometric patterns. They moved together like a school of fish. They never broke formation, never tried anything unexpected. "They fight like a computer program," Jake said, watching the patterns repeat. "Always the same moves, always the same responses." "That is accurate," Arya agreed. "The Vex are a hive mind. They think as one organism. This gives them perfect coordination, but it also makes them predictable." Jake nodded. He had fought enemies like this before. The key was to do something they did not expect, something that did not fit their program. "What about their ships? Any weaknesses?" "Shields are very strong in the front and sides, but weaker in the rear. Their weapons are powerful but slow to turn. And Jake, I have noticed something interesting. They use a specific frequency for all their communications. If that frequency was disrupted, they would lose coordination," Jake finished. "Arya, can our communications array broadcast on that frequency?" "Yes, but it would require significant modification." "And Jake, even if we could disrupt their communications, we are still one ship against 200. Jake walked to the window and looked out at the enemy fleet. They were spread out around the planet like a net, each ship in its perfect position. It was beautiful in a way, but it was also their weakness. They were so focused on maintaining their perfect formation that they could not adapt when something unexpected happened. "I'm not going to fight 200 ships," Jake said. "I'm going to make them fight each other." He spent the next 6 hours working on his plan. First, he needed to modify the quantum resonance scanners. Instead of looking for metals, he would use them to scramble the alien communications. Arya helped him reprogram the scanners to broadcast on the Vex frequency. Next, he needed weapons. The explosive charges from the mining section would work, but he needed a way to deliver them. Jake found the answer in the cargo bay. The ship had dozens of maintenance drones, small robots used for repairs in space. Each drone could carry one explosive charge. Jake programmed them to fly to enemy ships and attach the charges to their hulls. The atmospheric processors took more work. Jake had to rebuild them completely, turning them into chemical weapons that could eat through alien armor. It was dangerous work. One mistake would fill the ship with poison gas. But Jake had learned chemistry in the Marines. He knew what he was doing. While he worked, Jake listened to communications from the planet below. The colony was still fighting, but they were getting weaker. Mayor Hudson reported that they had lost 2 more defense platforms. The alien ground forces were getting closer to the main city. "Jake," came a new voice on the radio. It was female, tired but determined. "Kelly?" Jake stopped working and grabbed the radio. "Big brother, is that really you?" His sister's voice was full of tears and relief. "It's me, Kelly. I'm here. I'm going to get you out of this." "Jake, I've been watching the alien fleet. There are so many of them. How can you possibly—" "Remember when we were kids?" Jake interrupted. Remember the time Billy Henderson and his whole gang cornered you behind the school? What did I do? Kelly laughed, despite everything. You didn't fight all of them at once. You picked them off. One by one. You made them angry so they would chase you, then you led them into traps. That's right. And that's exactly what I'm going to do here. But Kelly, I need you to do something for me. I need you to keep those shields running for 3 more days. Can you do that? I'll try, Jake, but we're running out of power. The fusion reactor is damaged. And fix it. You're the smartest engineer I know. Figure out a way to keep the lights on for 3 more days. I'll handle the rest. After talking to Kelly, Jake felt more determined than ever. He worked through the night, modifying systems and preparing his weapons. By morning, the UES Frontier looked nothing like the peaceful exploration ship it had been. Every system had been turned into a weapon or a tool of war. Jake suited up in his combat armor and made his way to the bridge. Through the windows, he could see the alien fleet in all its terrible glory. The ships were massive, each one 10 times the size of the Frontier. Their dark metal hulls were covered in weapon ports and armor plating. They looked invincible. Arya, are all modifications complete? Jake asked. Yes, Jake. The quantum resonance scanners are ready to disrupt their communications. The maintenance drones are loaded with explosive charges. The atmospheric processors are converted to chemical weapons. But Jake, I must point out that this plan has a very low probability of success. What are the odds? Jake asked. Approximately 3,000 to 1 against, Jake laughed. I've had worse odds. Remember, Arya, I'm not trying to destroy their whole fleet. I just need to cause enough chaos to make them leave. Bullies always run when someone fights back hard enough. He sat down in the captain's chair and put his hands on the controls. The ship's engines hummed to life. On the display, he could see the closest alien ships turning to look at him. They had probably been wondering what the single human ship was doing. Now they were about to find out. This is Lieutenant Commander Jake Morrison of the UES Frontier, he broadcast on all frequencies. Vex Dominion, you have attacked human civilians. You have threatened my family. You have made a big mistake. Leave now or I will destroy every single one of your ships. The alien response came immediately. The voice was cold and mechanical, speaking perfect English. Human vessel, you are outnumbered 200 to 1. Surrender now and your death will be quick. Jake smiled and pushed the throttle forward. The Frontier leaped toward the alien fleet like a bullet. Come and get me, he said. The used Frontier flew straight toward the heart of the alien fleet. Jake could see the massive Vex ships turning their weapons toward him. Each ship was the size of a city block, covered in gun turrets and missile pods. The smallest of them could have destroyed his ship with a single shot, but Jake was not planning to trade shots with them. He was planning to be somewhere else when their weapons fired. Arya, activate the quantum resonance scanners. Full power on the Vex communication frequency. Scanners activated, Jake. Broadcasting now. The effect was immediate. The perfect formation of alien ships began to waver. Jake could see some of them turning in the wrong directions, bumping into each other as their coordination failed. The hive mind that controlled them was being scrambled by the powerful scanning beams. It's working, Jake said, pulling the ship into a sharp turn. They can't talk to each other. The closest Vex ship fired at him, but its aim was off. The energy beam passed harmlessly through the space where Jake had been a second before. More ships opened fire, but without their perfect coordination, they were shooting at empty space. Jake dove toward the asteroid field that surrounded the planet. The rocks here were huge, some as big as mountains. He flew between them, using them as cover while the alien ships tried to follow. The Vex ships were too big to move easily between the asteroids. They had to go around while Jake cut straight through. Launch the first wave of drones, Jake ordered. 50 maintenance drones. Flew out of the Frontier's cargo bay. Each one carried an explosive charge toward the alien ships. The drones were small and fast, designed to work in tight spaces. The aliens tried to shoot them down, but their big guns were too slow to track such small targets. Jake watched as the drones reached the nearest Vex ship. They attached themselves to the hull like metal insects, then exploded. The blasts were small, but they hit exactly where Jake wanted them to. The alien ship lost its shields and several weapon turrets. Direct hit, Arya reported. Enemy ship disabled but not destroyed. Good, I don't want to destroy them all. I want them scared. Jake pulled the Frontier around a massive asteroid and came up behind another alien ship. This one was firing wildly into the asteroid field, trying to hit him. Jake activated the atmospheric processors and released a cloud of corrosive gas around the alien ship. The gas ate through the ship's armor like acid. The Vex ship tried to escape the chemical cloud, but it was too late. Its hull began to dissolve, and the ship broke apart. Jake felt no satisfaction watching it die. He was not here to kill aliens. He was here to save his sister and 50,000 other people, but the aliens did not see it that way. To them, Jake was a dangerous threat that had to be eliminated. More ships broke formation to chase him through the asteroid field. Jake led them deeper into the rocks, where their size became an even bigger disadvantage. Jake, I am receiving a communication from the Vex fleet commander, Arya said. Put him on. The voice that came through the speakers was different from the others. It was still mechanical, but there was something like personality in it, something like anger. Human pilot, I am War Prime Zethrak, commander of this fleet. You have destroyed one of my ships and damaged others. This is impossible. You are one small vessel against my armada. Your point? Jake asked, dodging between two asteroids while alien energy beams lit up the space around him. How are you doing this? Your species is primitive. Your technology is inferior. You should have been destroyed in the first minute of battle. Jake laughed. That's your problem right there. You think being primitive is a weakness, but sometimes being simple is better than being complicated. He proved his point by doing something no Vex ship could do. Jake flew his ship completely upside down, spinning it around a rotating asteroid while firing his pulse cannons at the aliens chasing him. The shots hit their target, knocking out the enemy ship's engines. Impossible, War Prime Zethrak said. No pilot could make such a maneuver. Human pilots can, Jake said. We don't fly by computer programs, we fly by instinct. Jake launched his second wave of drones while the aliens were still trying to figure out how he had made that turn. These drones carried a different surprise. When they reached the alien ships, they did not explode. Instead, they began broadcasting human music at full volume. The effect on the hive mind aliens was incredible. They had never heard music before. The chaos of rock and roll, the complexity of jazz, the emotion of country music, it was like poison to their ordered thoughts. Several ships stopped firing completely, their crews overwhelmed by the strange sounds. What is this noise? War Prime Zethrak demanded. It's called music, Jake said, launching more drones. It's what we make when we're happy, or angry, or sad, or pretty much any time we feel something. Feelings are weakness, the alien commander said. Are they? Jake asked. He dove toward the largest alien ship, the one he assumed was the command vessel. Then why are you so angry right now? War Prime Zethrak did not answer, but Jake could hear the rage in his voice when he gave orders to his fleet. The alien commander was losing control, and Jake could use that. More alien ships moved into the asteroid field, trying to trap Jake, but they were thinking like a hive mind, moving in patterns and formations. Jake was thinking like a human, improvising and adapting every second. He flew straight at a group of alien ships, then used his tractor beam to grab a small asteroid and hurl it at them. The rocks smashed into their formation, scattering the ships. While they were confused, Jake hit them with another chemical attack. Status report, Arya, Jake said, pulling away from the enemy ships. We have disabled or destroyed 12 enemy vessels. The remaining ships are showing signs of coordination. Breakdown. However, Jake, we are running low on explosive charges and chemical weapons. Jake looked at his remaining supplies. Arya was right. He had maybe one more major attack left, then he would be down to just his pulse cannons. But he had accomplished Something important. The alien fleet was no longer in perfect formation. They were scattered, confused, and angry. "How is the colony holding up?" Jake asked. "The disruption to the Vex communications has helped them. Several alien ground units have become lost without proper coordination. The colony defenses are holding." For now, that was good news, but Jake knew it would not last. The aliens would figure out how to adapt to his tactics. He needed to keep them off balance, keep them guessing what he would do next. An idea came to him as he watched the alien ships trying to reform their battle lines. They were creatures of habit, always returning to the same patterns. Jake could use that against them. "Arya, I need you to record everything we just did. Every maneuver, every attack, every tactic." "Recording complete, Jake, but why?" "Because now I'm going to do it all again, but completely different." Jake turned the frontier toward another group of alien ships. This time, instead of using the asteroids for cover, he flew straight at them in open space. The aliens expected him to hide and run. Instead, he charged directly at their guns. The surprise gave him just enough time to launch his final wave of drones. But instead of targeting the big ships, he sent them after the smaller escort vessels. The little ships had weaker shields and less armor. They were easier to destroy. As the escort ships exploded, the larger vessels lost their protection. Jake hit them with everything he had left. Pulse cannon fire, chemical weapons, even some of the ship's emergency flares that burned hot enough to damage alien sensors. When the attack was over, Jake had destroyed or disabled 30 alien ships. The remaining fleet was in chaos, with ships scattered across the entire star system. Their perfect formation was broken, their coordination shattered. "This is War Prime Zethruk," came the angry voice over the radio. "I am ordering the entire fleet to concentrate on destroying the human vessel. Forget the planet, kill the human first." Jake smiled. That was exactly what he wanted to hear. The aliens were so focused on stopping him that they were pulling ships away from the planet. That would give the colony more time to prepare their defenses, but it also meant that Jake was now facing the full attention of nearly 200 alien warships, and he was almost out of weapons. "Arya," he said, "I hope you have some good ideas, because round 2 is about to begin." Jake had never seen so many enemy ships in one place. The entire Vex fleet was coming for him now, their dark hulls blotting out the stars. War Prime Zethruk had made his choice. Destroy the human ship first, then finish off the colony. "Arya, how many ships are we facing now?" Jake asked, diving the frontier behind a massive asteroid. 168 functional vessels, Jake. They have formed 3 separate hunter groups to track us down." Jake gritted his teeth. He was out of explosive drones and chemical weapons. His pulse cannons had maybe 20 shots left. Against 168 ships, that was nothing. But he was not going to give up. Kelly and 50,000 other people were counting on him. "What do we have left to fight with?" he asked. "The tractor beam, emergency beacon signals, artificial gravity generators, and the ship's atmospheric recycling system," Arya listed. "None of these are traditional weapons." "Good thing I'm not a traditional fighter," Jake said. The first hunter group found him 10 minutes later. 20 alien ships moving in a perfect diamond formation. Their weapons lit up space as they fired. At the asteroid, Jake was hiding behind. The rock exploded into thousands of pieces, but Jake was already gone. He had used the tractor beam to pull himself around to the backside of another asteroid. Now he was behind the alien ships. Jake activated the artificial gravity generators and pointed them at the enemy formation. A gravity field grabbed the alien ships and pulled them together like magnets. The Vex ships crashed into each other, their perfect formation ruined. While they were tangled up, Jake flew past them and used his tractor beam to grab chunks of the exploded asteroid. He hurled the rocks at the confused alien ships like a slingshot. "Impossible," came War Prime Zethruk's voice over the radio. "You are using ship systems as weapons. This does not compute." "That's because you only think one way," Jake said, escaping before the aliens could untangle themselves. "Humans think about everything differently." The second hunter group was waiting. for him when he came around the next asteroid? They had learned from watching the first group's mistake. These ships were spread out, ready for anything Jake might try. Jake smiled. They thought they were ready for anything, but they had never fought a human before. He activated the ship's emergency beacon system and programmed it to send out dozens of false signals. Suddenly, the alien sensors showed hundreds of human ships. All around them, the Vex ships opened fire in all directions, shooting at targets that did not exist. In the confusion, Jake flew right through the middle of their formation. He used his remaining pulse cannon shots to hit their command ship, the one giving orders to the others, with their leader damaged. The other ships in the group lost coordination. They began firing at each other, thinking they were shooting at the false signals Jake had created. By the time they figured out the trick, Jake was gone and 3 of their ships were destroyed. "This human is using deception," War Prime Zethrak announced to his fleet. "Do not trust your sensors. Use visual confirmation only," Jake laughed. "Good luck with that," he said to Arya. "Visual confirmation means they have to get close enough to see me. And if they get that close?" He proved his point when the third hunter group found him. Instead of running, Jake flew straight at them. The alien ships hesitated, confused by this crazy human who charged directly at superior numbers. In that moment of hesitation, Jake hit them with his last trick. He activated the atmospheric recycling system and vented all the ship's air at once. The blast of gases created a huge cloud that blocked the aliens' vision. Jake flew through the cloud like a ghost, appearing and disappearing as the aliens tried to track him. While they were confused, Jake used his tractor beam like a weapon again. But this time, instead of throwing rocks, he grabbed one of the alien ships and used it as a club to hit the others. The ship he grabbed was smaller than the others, probably a scout vessel. Jake swung it around like a baseball bat, smashing it into 2 bigger ships. All 3 ships exploded, lighting up the gas cloud like a firework. Jake flew out of the explosion, his ship's armor blackened but intact. Behind him, the third hunter group was scattered and broken. "Status report," Jake called out. 47 enemy ships destroyed or disabled, Arya reported. "But Jake, we are now completely out of conventional weapons and tricks. And the remaining fleet is regrouping for a massive assault." Jake looked at his sensors. Arya was right. The alien ships were forming up into one giant formation, with the biggest ship in the center. That had to be War Prime Zethrak's command vessel. It was 10 times larger than any other ship in the fleet, covered in enough weapons to destroy a planet. "They're going to try to overwhelm us with pure firepower," Jake said. "No more fancy tactics, just raw force." "Jake, perhaps it is time to retreat. You have done more than anyone could have expected. The colony has time to evacuate now." "No," Jake said firmly. "Kelly is down there. All those people are down there. I'm not running away." He thought about his options. The frontier was barely holding together. The hull had cracks from the battle. The shields were almost gone, and he was out of weapons. But Jake had one more idea. It was crazy, even by his standards, but it might work. "Arya, can you overload the ship's power core?" "Yes. But that would destroy the ship and everything within a large radius." "Jake, you cannot be serious." "I'm not planning to blow us up," Jake said. "I'm planning to threaten to blow us up." "There's a difference." He opened a communication channel to the entire alien fleet. "War Prime Zethrak, this is Jake Morrison. I have a deal for you." "Humans do not make deals with the Vex Dominion," came the cold reply. "This one does. I'm going to fly my ship straight at your command vessel. If you don't leave this system right now, I'm going to ram you and detonate my power core. It will destroy both our ships." There was a long pause. Then War Prime Zethrak laughed, a sound like breaking glass. "You are bluffing, human. You would not sacrifice yourself." "Wouldn't I?" Jake said. He pointed the frontier directly at the massive command ship and pushed the engines to full power. "I'm a human, remember? We do crazy things when our families are threatened." The alien fleet began to move, trying to block Jake's path to the command ship. But Jake had timed this perfectly. He was flying through the debris field from all the ships he had destroyed. The wreckage created a maze that only a small, agile ship could navigate. The Frontier flew between chunks of twisted metal and burning plasma. Jake's piloting skills were pushed to their absolute limit as he dodged through the deadly obstacle. Of course, behind him, the alien ships tried to follow, but they were too big, too slow. "Distance to target, 5,000 meters and closing," Area announced. "War Prime Zethrak, last chance," Jake said. "Leave now or we both die." "You are insane," the alien commander replied. "No," Jake said, thinking about Kelly and all the people depending on him. "I'm human. There's a difference." The command ship's weapons began to turn toward Jake, but he was too close and moving too fast. The massive guns could not track him. 4,000 meters, 3,000, 2,000. "Jake, if we get much closer, I will not be able to avoid collision," Arya warned. "I know," Jake said. He had his finger on the power core overload button. If the aliens called his bluff, he would have to follow through. He could not let them think humans were weak, 1,000 meters. The alien command ship filled the entire view screen. Jake could see details on its hull, weapon ports, and armor plating. He could see alien faces looking at him through the bridge windows. "Stop!" War Prime Zethrak's voice cracked with something that might have been fear. "Human vessel. Halt your approach. I will hear your terms." Jake pulled back on the controls, bringing the Frontier to a stop just 500 meters from the alien command ship. His hands were shaking, but his voice was steady. "The terms are simple," he said. "You leave this system now. You never come back, and you spread the word to every alien species out there. Humans are not easy prey. We fight back." The silence stretched for what felt like hours. Finally, War Prime Zethrak spoke. "This is not over, human. The Vex Dominion will remember you." "Good," Jake said. "Make sure you remember this too. My name is Jake Morrison. And if you ever threaten human civilians again, I'll come looking for you." The alien fleet began to move. Slowly at first, then faster. One by one, the dark ships turned away from the planet and headed for deep space. Within an hour, the entire fleet was gone. Jake Morrison had done the impossible. One man and one ship had defeated an entire alien armada. Not through superior firepower or technology, but through courage, creativity, and the stubborn human refusal to give up. Jake watched the last alien ship disappear into the darkness of space. The Vex fleet was gone, but he could hardly believe it. His hands were still shaking from the close call with the command ship, 500 meters. He had come within 500 meters of blowing himself up to save the colony. "Arya, confirm that all alien vessels have left the system," Jake said. "Confirmed, Jake. All Vex ships have jumped to hyperspace. The system is clear." Jake let out a long breath he did not know he had been holding. It was over. Somehow, impossibly, he had won. One ship against an entire fleet, and he had made them run away. The radio crackled to life. "Commander Morrison, this is Mayor Hudson. Please tell me you're still alive out there." "I'm here, Mayor. The aliens are gone. You're safe." The sound that came through the radio was not quite a laugh and not quite a sob. "Gone? All of them? How is that possible?" "Turns out bullies don't like it when someone fights back," Jake said. "How are things down there?" "Better now. We lost some good people, but most of the colony is intact." The alien ground forces retreated. When their ships left, "Commander, what you did out here, I don't have words for it." "You don't need words," Jake said. "Just take care of your people. And Mayor, is my sister okay?" "Kelly's fine. She's been working non-stop to keep our systems running. She saved a lot of lives down here. She's a hero, just like her brother," Jake smiled. Kelly had always been the smart one in the family. While he was out fighting aliens, she was keeping the lights on and the shields working. They made a good team, even from thousands of miles apart. "Can I talk to her?" Jake asked. "Of course. Kelly, your brother wants to talk to you." Kelly's voice came through the radio, tired but happy. "Jake? Jake, is it really over?" "It's over, Kelly. The bad guys are gone. You're safe." Kelly started crying and Jake felt his own eyes getting wet. I was so scared, Jake. There were so many of them, and you were just one ship. How did you do it? Same way I always do things. Jake said. I got stubborn and refused to quit. Plus, I had a good reason to fight. I wasn't going to let anything happen to my little sister. I'm not little anymore, Jake. I'm 32 years old. You'll always be my little sister, Jake said. And I'll always be here to protect you. They talked for a few more minutes before Kelly had to go back to work. There was a lot of damage to repair on the colony, but they had time now. They had safety. Jake had given them the dot. Over the next few hours, Jake received messages from all over human space. Word of his victory was spreading fast. The impossible story of one man defeating an entire alien fleet? Some people did not believe it at first, but the sensor records did not lie. Jake Morrison had really done it. Admiral Lisa Grant, the head of Human Defense Command, contacted him personally. Commander Morrison, I've been reading the reports of your engagement with the Vex fleet. Frankly, I'm having trouble believing them. They're all true, Admiral, Jake said. Every word. One ship against 200. No backup, no support, minimal. Weapons, and you made them retreat. How? Jake thought about how to explain it. Admiral, the aliens fight like machines. They do the same things over and over, following programs and patterns. But humans don't think like that. We adapt, we improvise. We turn anything into a weapon if we have to. The reports say you used mining equipment, atmospheric processors, even the ship's gravity generator as weapons. Yes, ma'am. When you don't have what you need, you use what you have. Admiral Grant was quiet for a moment. Commander, I want you to come to Earth as soon as possible. We need to study your tactics, learn from what you did. This could change how we fight wars. I'd be happy to help, Admiral. But first, I need to make sure the colony is really safe. And I need to get some rest. It's been a long few days. Course. Take all the time you need. You've earned it. Jake spent the next week helping to repair the colony's defenses. He used the Frontier's equipment to fix damaged systems and help them prepare for any future attacks. The colonists treated him like a hero wherever he went, but Jake felt uncomfortable with all the attention. I was just doing my job, he told Mayor Hudson during one of their planning meetings. Your job was exploration and research, the mayor replied. Fighting off an entire alien fleet was way beyond your job description. My job is protecting humans, Jake said. Everything else is just details. The rescue fleet from Earth arrived 2 weeks later. 3 heavy cruisers and a carrier, loaded with Marines and supplies. Their commander, Captain Steve Rogers, seemed disappointed that all the fighting was over. We came here expecting a war zone, Captain Rogers said as he toured the colony. Instead, we find a peaceful farming community with some minor battle. Damage. The report said this place was under siege by hundreds of alien ships. It was, Mayor Hudson said. Commander Morrison took care of them. Captain Rogers looked skeptical until he saw the debris field where Jake had fought the aliens. Chunks of destroyed Vex ships floated in space like a graveyard. The wreckage of 47 alien vessels, all destroyed by one human pilot. My God, Captain Rogers whispered. He really did it. Jake was ready to leave when the rescue fleet departed for Earth. The UES Frontier was barely spaceworthy after the battle, but Arya assured him they could make the journey home. As they prepared to leave orbit, Jake took one last look at New Haven Colony. The farms were green and peaceful under the light of the system's star. Children played in the streets while their parents worked to rebuild what the war had damaged. It looked like any other human colony, but Jake knew it was special. These people had faced impossible odds and survived. They had fought when fighting seemed hopeless and won when winning seemed impossible, just like their protector. Jake, Arya said as they entered hyperspace for the journey home, I have been analyzing the battle data. What you accomplished should have been statistically impossible. I did it anyway, Jake said. Yes, how do you explain that? Jake thought about the question. How could he explain what it meant to be human to a computer? How could he describe the feeling of protecting your family, of never giving up even when everything seemed lost? Arya? Do you know what makes humans different from every other species we've met? Your adaptability, your creativity, your stubborn refusal to follow logical patterns. Those are all true, Jake said, but there's something else. Something more important. Humans have hope. Even when things look impossible, we believe we can find a way. We believe we can win. And sometimes, just believing is enough to make it true. When they reached Earth 3 months later, Jake found himself famous across all of human space. The story of his victory had grown in the telling. Some versions had him fighting 1,000 alien ships. Others said he had supernatural powers or secret weapons. Jake did not mind the exaggerations. The important thing was the message the story sent. Humans were not weak. Humans were not easy prey. Humans would fight back, no matter the odds. Admiral Grant kept her promise and put Jake in charge of training new pilots in asymmetric warfare tactics. He taught them to think like humans, not machines, to adapt and improvise, to turn anything into a weapon if necessary. The Jake Morrison Doctrine became required reading at every military academy. The idea that superior tactics and determination could overcome superior numbers and technology. The belief that humans could win any fight if they refused to give up. And throughout human space, whenever colonists faced danger, they remembered the story of the man who stepped out of cryo sleep and saved an entire world by himself. They remembered that being human meant never giving up, no matter how bad things looked, because sometimes one person really can make all the difference in the universe.